Thank you, Oireachtas, and I'm happy to have an opportunity to comment on this very important issue, which affects everybody. Standard of safety and services in our hospital facilities is all important from the point of view of the public, particularly from the point of view of the staff, in situations where the staff may be threatened, where they may be attacked or assaulted, or whatever the case may be. That is completely intolerable. It's a disgraceful situation when people are doing their work, and as they do all the time, and find that they do so with the threat of violence. I happen to have had a sojourn in one of our major hospitals in the last few weeks, an emergency admission, as it happened, and that's the place to go if you need emergency services. And I have to say that my views of the situation as presented were totally at variance with the kind of message I'm getting in the House from across the floor. The hospital was efficient, it was effective, it was well run. The staff were busy, there's no doubt about that. They were on the go all the time. But that's the nature of the business, that's the way it is. But they were courteous, and they were attentive to everybody. And they, through the A&E, and they attended assiduously to everybody when they came in. So obviously some people are more seriously ill than others from time to time. And I have to say that the standard and quality of the service was second to none. I think we need to appreciate that, and the kind of work that goes in, day out, 24/7, and the same people who had to soldier up in the course of COVID. Again and again and again they were tested, and they did well. But something I mentioned before in this House, we tend to denigrate the health services to an appalling extent, resulting, in my mind, in a huge drop in the morale of the staff. That can only happen if somebody's being criticised all the time, as we should know in this House. If somebody's being criticised all the time, well, obviously, it punches through eventually, and it doesn't do any good. By all means, we have to bring to the attention of the authorities any shortcomings that we find, and we need to attend to them, and we need to ensure that we have the best service possible. But I want to comment on the submission of one of the speakers across the House in relation to Fine Gael, 10 years in government, and the country was broken, there was no services, and so on and so forth. I think they should come into the real world and come back 10 years and stand where this country was then, where the country was broke and there was nothing happening, and people were in serious danger then, and the services were threatened everywhere. And there were countries all over the world in a similar position at that particular time. And some of them went to the wall and are still there. And are still there. So when somebody comes into the House from the opposition side to lecture the members who had responsibility at the time, and it is true that Fine Gael and Labour at that particular time had to take their responsibilities, which they did, in a difficult time. Everybody else opted out. Nobody wanted to deal with the situation. It wasn't there for them. They only wanted to comment on it. But taking responsibility is a different story. And that's what the government of the day did. And it was difficult. And of course we paid a huge price for it. The Labour Party paid a huge price. Fine Gael paid a huge price. But when I hear some people standing up and criticising the parties in government who took responsibility and stood up to the challenge that were put ahead of them at that particular time, and pretending that they'd in some way let the country and the people down, I reject that in its entirety. And I would ask the people concerned to review themselves, ask themselves what they were doing at that particular time. Were they assisting? Were they helping out? Did they make the sacrifices that everybody made? We don't know. But I want to say this, at some time, one gets fed up of listening to the same old tune all the time. So let's give the health services in this situation a little bit of recognition for the job that they do, and are doing, and will continue to do. And the other thing that it was a great insight from my point of view as a public representative to see what happened inside in the hospitals at all levels, including procedures. And I thought there was a massive improvement in the quality of the service and the degree to which staff attended to the duties to what I would compare with 10, 15 years ago, a huge improvement, as one would expect. The other thing that I think we need to realise is that the whole situation about health and safety, insofar as the nursing staff are concerned, and incidentally, I had an experience of that as well. There was a member of the public kicked up a row and threatened members of the staff, and had to be restrained. But the police, the Gardaí were there, and internal security were there. Nobody had to send for anybody. There was no panic. It was dealt with. So that the members of the public who want to make themselves, to impress upon the staff, they need to be recognised above and beyond anybody else. There were people there to inform them, to restrain them, to encourage them, and to ensure that the hospital services were able to continue. And of course there was a siren going for a good long time, but as I say, it was dealt with. So nobody's health or safety, not even the staff, not nurses or staff, or patient safety, was in any way threatened because of the activities of one or two people who decided to take upon themselves the running of the hospital for that particular time. The last point that I will make is that I think that the health services will have a bigger burden in the future than they have now. And that is because the population of the country is going up. We always hear, that we have an ageing population. I think they're looking at me when they keep mentioning that. But however, I'm not so sure about that. But the fact of the matter is this. Proportionately, our population are going up nearly as fast as the populations across in Europe in terms of age. Because an awful lot of young people are returning to this country, a lot of young people are coming into this country, and they all are taxpayers, and they're contributing to the economy in a very meaningful way, and I think we need to recognise that they're part and parcel of the delivery of the services. Everybody contributes, notwithstanding the rise in the population, and will continue to contribute. And I think that's a positive thing. I think it's a helpful sign for the future. It's a very helpful sign for the future, and that long may it continue. The last point I want to make is that the personal attention that patients really expect when they go to hospital, depending on their degree of vulnerability. And in fact, I had first sight of really, really horrendous cases right throughout the ward in which I was at the time. And I think it is great to see the fortitude of the patients as well. They are there for a particular purpose. They need to be attended to. And they're grateful for their attendance. And at the same time, I was amazed at the extent to which some people continue to working on the computers, even at the same time, and the general attitude was, we continue. Whatever job they were at, they continued, and they received the services as required. So, counter to some of the points, not everybody, some of the points raised, I believe that we owe a great, we need to pass a great tribute to our health service workers now more than any other time, because they have been through the mill, because they carried the can of responsibility when they had to, and it was big. And you here, like I mentioned in relation to Wexford Hospital in recent times, I think everybody wanted the rescue efforts to fail. That's the impression I got. But in actual fact, what happened was a credit to the health services. And everybody rode in at the time that was required and did the job that had to be done. So there was no need for anybody to point the finger at anyone, at any time, anywhere throughout it. It was done effectively and efficiently, and was a credit to the delivery of health service. I think if you want to go on for another 2 minutes, I'd do it. But if you encourage me, but in any event, I think that
Thank you, Deputy.
sums up what I had to say. Thank you very much.